So now you have here some numbers. Let me use just maybe 12, 33, 44, 55, 66, 77, 12, right? Now guys, you know what is the average of this? So the average of this is 42. You can also use the average function, right? Though there is no need because you can always use the, the status bar for this. But anyways, so we have the average 42. Now individually I want to check that what are those numbers which are below this average. So you can go to the conditional formatting and you can say that new rule, and then let's go and use this find only values that are above or below average. Now because this line clearly says that this is above or below, so you don't have to write anything. I mean, you don't have to put any formula, you just go and see that above or below. Now there are a lot of other standard deviations as well. Now this is sort of the functionalities which generally people who work in the accounting sector they use. Honestly speaking, I never use the standard deviation, right? But there are things, but this is how you grow in the Excel is very vast, guys. There are thousands of formulas in Excel, but at least when your fundamentals are clear, it would be very easy for you to keep your this process ongoing, right? Learning process ongoing, because whenever you come to know something, maybe after the training, and you say that, oh, I didn't do this in the training, that does not mean that you can't learn it. You can. You just go and see some Google articles, maybe go and check out some YouTube videos. There are so many things in the in the internet. But since your concepts are clear now, in and out of Excel, so it will be easy for you, unlike when you didn't have any idea about the Excel. So we say that above or below, so whatever option you want to check. I say that I want to check the above. So the numbers which are above this 42, you want to go and give them some formatting, right? So we can go and choose the formatting color here. So let's go and give it a color called, let's say, yellow. Okay, you can also give fill effects. As I said that day also, fill effect is going to be a combination of two different colors, vertical diagonal up. You can choose the colors from here, right? So these are all the different options, right? So this is also something very much used by people. And then pattern style is also there. So this is more of a R&D topic. Yeah, you have to research on this, right? And you're gonna find a lot of things. Anyways, let's just put the pattern and click back here. So this is how the color is going to look like. I click OK, and now you can see here that, guys, any number which is greater than the average of the entire table, it is colored, right? So that is how. And the same way the below process also works, right? Now this is something which was, I would say, a very basic conditional formatting, right? So we have colored the cells basis the format the cells contain, what greater than equals to. Then we in the next exercise we tried to link the cells with the conditional formatting, so that if I go and write anything here, I change any value here, the conditional formatting will pick up that data, right? So this is the another thing. Then you have I think what we did the next time, I exactly don't remember, but I can go and check that. I can select this data and I can go in the conditional formatting in the manage rules, because if the conditional formatting is applied there, that will show me. So this is also, guys, one of the methods, right? That if somebody is sending you a file and you want to check that what conditional formatting is used there, this is how you can check. Select the data, go to the conditional formatting and click on the manage rule. Now I remember that this basically we did nothing, we just kind of created a color scale, right? Color scale basis what you can go and check that edit rule. So when you go in the edit rule, so if you remember, we manually put this minimum number 10 and the midpoint 50 and maximum. So we said that for the 10 the color should start like this, and somewhere in the middle the color should be like this, and in the 100 it should be green. So that's sort of the preview it's giving, and this is what it is happening here. So any number which is actually going towards the 100 side, which is near to the 100, that's have this color, right? So this is, I think we did, right? Okay. So and then in the next thing we talked about the beautiful icons, right? The graph icon, the pie icon, right? I call it pie also, but you can call it circle also, whatever. This is the same that the bar graph, right? Now the next thing which we want to do is, this is something very interesting. So now we will go and use the formulas also. You can use the formulas also in the conditional formatting, and here actually the advanced conditional formatting starts. So for example, I have a name here. Okay, now I ask you one thing. Let's say I have a name called Ajay Parmar, and then we have, let's say, Gitanjali, and then we have, let's say, um, uh, let's say Ray, Gaurav, and then we have uh, Jason Junior, and then we have Alam, Mehboob, and there are so many names, right? So now what we need to do is, now the question is that you want to, this is your data, I want to go and highlight those names whose length is, name should be in yellow color, let's say, who have more than 10 characters. For example, this is your requirement. You want to highlight the 10 characters, right? Now, if I ask you that right here, the status yellow for people who have a name more than 10, who have a long name, and long name means that they have the 10 characters, then how are you going to do that? Then you write here if function, isn't it? You see that if the length of this A2 is going to be greater than 10, for example, greater than 10, not greater than equals to more than 10, then what should happen? Then it should show as yellow. So I'm just going to write like this, otherwise space, right? This is, I'm just telling you, just sharing this with you, right? That's how, I mean, you do it if you want to display something. But now we don't want to display something, we want to basically color these cells. So the thing I'm trying to clear here is that basically in this exercise also, if you look at this, the length function is very important, because that is a function which is going to tell you whether this has a greater than 10 characters or not. Now, how to use this in the conditional formatting? This is very important. Okay, now there are two ways of doing it, guys. The first method, which I will never use and never encourage you to go for, that's the additional step, so we can always avoid it. But as a beginner in the conditional formatting, first let's go and do that. First I go and calculate the length, this one. Okay, forget about this thing, this I just shared it with you, just like that, right? There's no reason for this, this has nothing to do with the conditional formatting. So I drag this, and the length would come, right? Now this length will always change if you do any changes in this cell. If you write here Ajay P, the length will change, right? Okay, so now I see that I said that as a rule, the first thing which you need to do is you need to select the data where you want to put the condition formatting, right? So I go and select this entire data, right? This is my first thing, right? You can also select one cell also, but then if you do the conditional formatting in a single cell, then in the rest of the cells also you have to use the paste special format. Okay, for example, what I do is, right now I'm just going to use the complete data, and I go and say that conditional formatting, and I say new rule. Now when you go in the new rule, you have to now decide which particular option you are going to use. You have used this option, guys, and it has nothing to do with this thing. This is just basis the lowest value and the highest values. 2 color scale you want to give, or 3 color scale you want to give, so if I say that my lowest number should be, let's say, something called 0, or my highest number is gonna be, let's say, something called, let's say, 100, right? So basis this, you can decide the color. So from 0 to 100, that's how the color will get formed. So obviously the 0, let's say I want to show this sort of color, and here I want to show this sort of color, the dark color, that's all. So it has nothing to do with this sort of exercise, right? This is how you start thinking, and then you go to the next option, let's say. Then in the next option, now what we can do, now you may be thinking, because this looks little closer to our exercise, you may be thinking that, all right, so I can do one thing. I can say that my cell value is wherever is greater than, let's say a 10, and then go and give it a format. But the point is, you can't actually use this greater than here. Why? Because this is a text. Can you say that Ajay Parmar is greater than 10? You can't, you have to use the length function first. It is only after that, once you know that how many characters you have, then, you basically are going to check that this is for this, right? So these are the very, very important things, right? So we will not go in this. Then top or bottom, of course you will never go into that. Then you have the format only sense that format only values that are above or below average, and then you go for this format only unique or duplicate values, and then you can use the, you have the another option, use the formula. Now this is where you actually going to click, guys, because above average duplicate values, that doesn't make any sense for this exercise, right? This is very much clear. I hope even if you have just started learning conditional formatting, you won't get into all this, right? You may be confused with this option or this option, but rest of the things I think are pretty clear. We will never go into that, right? And I told you that you can never go in this option. You don't go in this option because here we have the text. So the better option for us is we use a formula to determine which cell has to format. So whenever you have a formula in use, then go for this option. Now it says that format the values where this formula is true. So you're going to write your formula here, and that formula, if it happens to be true, that means if it executes what you are trying to say, if that comes, then just go and fill out the color. So how I'm going to write it now, see this, guys, very carefully. Right now I have already built my formula here in this cell. Okay, if I have to use these numbers and I have to color these cells, then there is no formula required. Then I can simply say, go back to the format only cell and say that cell value is greater than, cell value is greater than what? Greater than 10. Okay, but which cell value? Not this value. Then you have to select this value. Getting a point? So either you can select this range or you can select this range. Both the things you can't select in this single table, right? So what I will do is I will go in the formula again and I say that format the values where this formula is true. So I'm going to say that this cell is greater than 10 or greater than 10, right? Now see what I'm doing. I'm saying that because C2 greater than 10 is the formula actually, isn't it? You're not just writing a constant 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You're properly writing C2 greater than 10. Now, if the C2 is greater than 10, which means if it is true, then what you want to do? Then you want to go to the format and then you want to give it a yellow color, right? So this is the first option. Now, remember that conditional formatting will be applied on your selected range. And this is your selected range, you know that. Now, if this is your selected range, then the formatting will happen right over here. This is the first thing. What is the second thing? The second thing is that what you're going to write here, Excel is going to take that value before it produces this result. So you said that C2 has to be greater than 10. So Excel will go and check the C2. Simple, right? I click OK. Now, when I do that, see this, the coloring happened here, which is good, which is correct. But it has colored all the cells, and this is something which bothers us a lot when we start the conditional formatting. Though I given you the answer in the last lecture also, not sure if you remember, but the point is you have to be very careful in giving the references, in giving the dollar signs to your conditional formattings, because what happens if you go to the manage rule and if you check this formula, if you go to the edit rule, you see that when I written the C2, conditional formatting automatically inserted dollar before C and before 2. Now what is happening, because you have freeze the row number 2, so all the cells are being colored here basis the value C2, basis C2 value. So C2 is greater than 10. So if C2 is greater than 10, all the cells are colored. But is it something you require? No. Because you wanted to color this cell basis this value. You wanted to color this cell basis this value. You wanted to color this cell basis this value, isn't it? So how you can do that? Obviously, you have to remove the dollar from the row part. There's no need to remove the dollar from the C because we are not going to move this left to right. Now the condition formatting is correct. So I go and press OK and I again go and apply and I say OK. Now guys, you have the things in front of you. Just 1 second. Okay, so that's how you see that you can color the cells basis formula. Now the question here is, it's not exactly the formula guys, because what we did is we use the another cell, right? In my formula, if you look at this, we use the C2. it's not the formula, it's a cell referencing actually. But in the C2, if I go, there is a formula. Now I can merge these two steps. I mean, this coloring and this formula. We can do this together in single step. How we can do that? I'll keep this option as it is for you so that you can go and practice. I create a new sheet of this, or maybe let's go and simply copy this table, this entire table, and go and paste the value here. Now do not do Control V. Do not paste this, because if you go and paste it, conditional formatting will also be pasted. I only need the values. So I told you last time you can use the paste special, right? In the home tab you can go and click on the paste special, or you can use Alt ES also, right? I simply say that I want the values here. Now see what I'm going to do now. This data is already selected for me, so I go and say conditional formatting. I go and click on the new rule. Now I go in the user formula and I now simply say equals to length of this F2 if it is greater than 10. Obviously this will return, you know, either true or false. So if it is going to be true, because this line says that format the values where this formula is true, then what should happen? You go to the formula, you say that I want to yellow the color, the text color, the background color, actually not the text color. And you know, you can also give the text color, by the way. I shade this with you. You can go to the font, and in the font you can, you know, choose any color. So let's say with the yellow I go and use this color, right? This is how the text color would look. Okay, you can make it bold also, that's okay. So that's how we write the formula. Now again guys, you see I'm putting the dollar here. This dollar has to be removed, otherwise what will happen, Gitanjali, Ray Gaurav, Jason Jr., Alam, all these different cells, they will be colored basis this F2, right? So that should not happen. So I go and remove the dollar from the F2, from the 2 especially. From F also we can remove the dollar, but let's keep it like this because this will not do any damage. So I go and click OK. Now you can see that same result, but now we have used the formula right in the conditional formatting tab. Previously also, so basically you know what happened. Both the methods are correct, but in the previous one we used the formula here and then we used these cells as a reference over there, right? And since you know that these are the open formulas, you know, which are always going to stay here. So anytime if you do any change over here, let's say if I go and write a name called I go and write here a short name Alam, you see that automatically the conditional formatting will disappear because this will change. And if this will change in the conditional formatting, C6 will change, right? Because we put the formula there that the C6 is greater than 10, then color it. Now C6 is not greater than 10, right? Same way. So here we have directly put the formula, and we also given the text color. You can see here this color, this is by default the black color, and this is different color we are using in the text. So I'm trying to educate you that how you can use the formulas also in the condition formatting. It has no limit. You can make pretty awesome conditional formattings, right? Now for example, let's go to the sheet number 7. Now you are going to write here some formula, let's say numerator, okay, and there is a one more denominator. So we have two values here, or you can write any formula also. So first let's go and do this. So this is a data, and here I have some numbers, right? What I do is in the result I divide the numerator with the denominator. So you know the last one will throw the error, right? Now I'm saying that what you need to do is anywhere we have the error in any cell in this result, if we have the error, that entire row should be de-highlighted. I mean, it should not appear at all. It should disappear, or maybe it should have some specific color. Who knows? I mean, whatever, right? How are we going to do that? So I have here numerator, denominator, and the result. Now I say that if the error is going to come, then I will make it completely invisible. For example, to make this invisible, I will do the font color as, the text font color as white. And since the background is already white, so you will not have any problem. That is how it is, guys, right? So now we will go and start working on this. Now the first challenge comes, if you have practiced a lot in all the previous sessions, the first function which should come in your mind is error, because that is a function which can check whether this value is an error or not, right? I can do this. There are other ways also. I'll explain you. Now again, I'm doing the same thing. I use the formula here. Let's say now this formula, wherever this value is true, which means E1, E2, E3, E4, whatever, wherever it finds that value true, the same on the same row number, but on the column number C, that value has to go off, right? But the point here is, I'm not only interested in giving a white font to this cell, but to this entire row. Actually, this is my plan. So how to do that? The first thing first, you got to do which formatting. You got to format this cell or this cell or this cell or this entire cell, entire row. Actually, I would say, yes, I want to format this entire row, right? Okay, so you select this thing. Now you go to the home and go in the condition formatting and click on the new row. This is how I used to learn actually. Now start thinking, because right now I'm telling you, so maybe that I will directly go here, and this will, the first thing strikes in your mind is that, okay, so we're gonna work on the formula. But since we are doing the formulas, that's why it is coming in your mind. But otherwise, randomly, if somebody asks you, give you this question, you are sitting in office and all of a sudden this requirement comes, or maybe you are appearing for some Excel test, interview, and this is the task, then how are you going to plan the thing? So you see yourself that how you can do this. So this error actually can't be used in all these top or bottom or above or below or unique or duplicate. And in fact, even in this format only says that contain, because that contains means what? It has some value, but we are talking about the formula here. Okay, so we have already made the formula here, so I can do one thing. I can go to this formula, right, and I can say that now this value, the format, the value with this formula is true. Which formula? So I'm going to say that if this value is going to be equals to true, then please go and color it, right? Now the thing is, if you look at this thing carefully, guys, I have selected this row, but I'm going to use this E2, right? So what I'm doing, I'm saying that the condition formatting has to be applied on this row and it has to come from E2. That's wrong, isn't it? Because you got to actually focus on the E5, not on the E2, right? So this is the first thing. So I can go and say that it should be actually E5, and I should remove the dollar also. This is the first thing. And then you go and say that format the color. So what I will do, I will say that the fill color, the color means the background color, it has to be white. Now that's already by default, the Excel cells are always white. You just go in the font and you see that the font has to be white. Now can I go and press OK? Let's go and check that. You can see that it looks like there's nothing here, but when you select this, you'll have here in the formula bar 6, you have here 0, and you have here formula. Everything is there. You just made the text color as white. Background is also white, text is also white. So what will happen? Condition formatting will change. It will start working. Now the question here is, if I go and create the error here also, if I create 33, if I divide 33 and 0, then what will happen, guys? The error will come. If the error comes, then this will be true. Then why this is not actually changing? Because when you applied the condition formatting, unlike our previous approach, this time we selected only one row. So condition formatting is applied only in this row. But I wanted to apply in the entire table, isn't it? So you should have actually selected the entire table. that here I want to apply the conditional formatting. But anyways, this is also the another method. So what if I have applied only on the one row, and now I want to copy and paste that conditional formatting in this entire table, in all these 3 rows. What is the way? You just go and copy this. Okay, select this entire table, go to the paste special, Alt ES, right? No value this time. What we will do, we will say format the things, click OK. That's it, guys. You're done. This is how you can do it, right? So whether you select the entire table, I generally select the entire range. I don't increase my steps, but if you select some specific range, then that range can also be copied, and we can put conditional formatting can also be copied from that range and can be put in the other ranges. So option, there are different options. Now the question comes that if I go and create, let's say here, numerator again and denominator here, what if I have to use this directly in this I don't want to go and create a extra column for this E column, like so. Again, you can do 3 3 5 5, so we have some numbers here, right? I go and create just one more, 23 and 0, to generate the error. Now please understand, this error can be a result of some VLOOKUP formula also, some if function also, doesn't matter, right? This is not just for the division or not just for div error. Any error is also going to be counted, because if you write the is error works on all the functions. When you write the is error, you can see that it checks NA, value, ref, div, num, name, null. All these are the different errors, right? So that is how it is. So now what is my plan? This time I use my approach. I select the entire table, because this is where I want to put the condition formatting. I go and say that new rule, and now I go in the formula and I say that is error. Which error? Obviously this cell, because here I have used the division. So if my C11, make sure you remove the $sign, right? So let's go and do that first of all. So I say that if this is the error, if it is equals to true, you don't have to write this true over here. Even if you just go and leave like this formula like this, it is understood that this is applied for the true, right? But still I prefer this way, that if the error is going to be true, then format the color. We will go and say that the font color has to be this one, right? Or maybe this time let's go and give some different color, guys, right? So let's say I want to give this color and I want to make this bold. Let's go and see that. Now come back to so click OK. So when you click OK, you make sure that you remove this $sign from here, because this shouldn't be coloring all these rows basis C11 value. C11 is for row number 11. C12 result should be for this row number 12. C and then 13 should be for this, right? So we have to remove this $sign. Okay. Now I also want to tell you one very important thing. This will trouble you a lot. So please listen to me very carefully. Now suppose I am here. My cursor is in the middle of this, the tab. Now let's say I want to go to the left side of this tab. I want to go after equals to. What you will do? Obviously you will start using the left arrow. So I'm going to press my left arrow. The moment you press your left arrow, see what is going to happen. What is going to happen? You will have this cell automatically picked up from the cell. So whenever you go and use the left arrow or right arrow, first you have to go in the edit mode. This is very important. Okay, I'm again repeating. Let me just cancel this. What I'm saying is, when you select this, the data, you go to the conditional formatting and you go and apply the new rule, and you use the formula equals to, and then you say that is error, that's how we write is error, I select this cell. Now you can also go and write the cell address directly also, right? We can also write like this is my C11, so I can write C11 also. That's perfectly fine. You don't have to select this cell, right? This also means the same. Now I say that if this is true, then give it some color, right? Now if I go and press the left arrow right now, because I want to move this cursor which is after E alphabet, I say I'm gonna press the left arrow. You see that when I press left arrow, somehow Excel actually select some random the cell from here. I don't know what is the logic behind this, why it picks up the A11. Maybe I think it can pick any other cell also, but the problem is, I mean, the issue is not to identify why it is picking A11. The issue is why it is picking at all, why it's picking A11. It should not pick this at all, right? Because I'm not asking, I'm just scrolling left and right. So what you need to do, I backspace it. This was your original formula. Now if I have to move left or right, first you go in the edit mode, guys. Now to go in the edit modes, you have to press F2, right? This is the edit mode, so I'm going to press F2. Now I go and use the left arrow. Can you see that? So when you press F2, you get in the edit mode. So next time when you go and you try to do some changes here, make sure before you go left or right, please go in the F2 mode first, right? So I go and give this let's say this color, this one, okay, make it bold or white, whatever. If you want to make it invisible, please use the white. There's no other way then. I click OK and I click OK. Right? Now you can see here, guys, this is 23, the error which is coming, this is how the color, this cell is actually the color, right? If you go and create here 0, let's say, you see that the color is changing. That's how it is. So this is how you can, at the moment I put something here 5 and this one, you see the color is coming back. If you go and write 0, this is going to work in this way, right? So I go and do the same thing again. I put the white formatting here, so I go and edit the rule, and this has to be, if is error C11, condition remains the same. I only go in the format and I go and say white. The color of the cell has to be white, okay, and there's no need to give it a bold color this time. Click OK and click OK. Apply the conditional formatting, and there we go. Now yes, so this is also something you see, even when you given that the color to your text, only the numerator is getting highlighted, right? This is not actually picking up the entire thing. I mean, why this is not picking up denominator and this result value? So if I go and write here 0, why it's only hiding this thing? So I think we are doing some mistake here and we have to correct that. Now this is something I never planned. This is coming right now, so let's go and check that, right? So I go and select this thing and I go in the conditional formatting and I say manage rows. Let's go and check that if we have something there's something wrong in the cell reference part. So I say C11. Now my C11 is error, the formula is also looks good to me. If I put the $sign here to make sure C should not change, because we are not using single select. Oh, look at this, guys. This is such a beautiful error. I forgot to put the $sign. Now, just few minutes back, I said that dollar before the column is not important, but now it is important. Why? Because now you're not using single cell. You're not just going in the downward direction. You're also going left to right, right? So what happens, that means when you don't put the $sign, for this cell numerator, C11 value is considered, and that's why it is working. But then when it comes to this column, the C actually, I'm sure this actually becomes D11. So we have to make sure that conditional formatting, when it is applied here or here, it should always go by the output of the C column. right? So now I think you will remember this, right? So this is how it comes. So let me just click OK and now click on the apply. Can you see that? We got the answer. Now I go and write here 9. Go and write here 9. We have the answer. If I go and write 0, now this is working. So that's how. Now the question comes, why it didn't come in this? Because when we use this conditional formatting, we never had this issue in first instance. Because guys, here what I did is, when I written the formula, if you remember, when I was on this window here, I did not choose the cell directly from here, because if you go and choose the cell from Excel, then dollars will be inserted. What I did is, let me press F2, go in the edit mode. Instead of selecting the cell like this, because when you select the cell, you know, dollar comes in front of column and dollar comes in front of row, and then your job is to just to remove this, right? This is what we were doing. But since this is not just a one cell, even this column is also involved. So you have to make sure this time that C should have a dollar before it, not before 11, because you got to go down also. You know how the cell reference works, right? So what I did is actually, just because I wanted to tell you that you can also write the cell reference directly, the cell address. So I forgot to put the dollar in front of this one. Whereas in this exercise, when we did the same thing, we actually selected this C2 from this cell, right? That was the only difference, right? So I hope now you will remember this. Click apply and there we go. So this is how actually your conditional formatting works, right? Now we can do a lot of things. For example, you can go and so let's say you have here name and you have here employee ID, right? And you have here transaction ID, and then you have here let's say company. Okay, so I go and write here some names. Let's say these are the now what I do is I repeat this entry here, right? Now this is a long data, so I go and put the same information here also, but I change the employee ID now. So you are supposed to now find out the duplicate entries, but not just one entry. You have to basically find out the entire row which is repeating, and you want to, let's say, highlight it. This is the question, right? So what we want to do is we want to highlight the duplicate rows actually. I hope we understand the difference between duplicate rows and a single cell. I'm not here to color this entire row basis if the repetition is coming in the, let's say in the parameter called Ajay. No, if Ajay is coming, it has to be employee ID 100 and this and this. So we basically are looking for this complete combination. If this is being repeated, then the row should be highlighted, and if this is not, if I have Ajay with a different employee ID, then nothing should happen. This is what I want to do. So how you will do that now? Anyone want to try on this? You know how we can do this? Obviously using the conditional formatting. See this. First of all, guys, we will go and create the combination of this and this and this. You can pick any order, doesn't matter. and just go and drag this. We will not show this to the user, remember. Okay, now what I will do is, because I have created all the the combinations of these all cells here. Now if this Ajay 100 INC blah 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 Mary price, if it is the same cell is coming somewhere here, that means obviously the entire row is repeating, guys, isn't it? But then how will you go and check that I mean, looking at this data, I can say, all right, this is something which is repeating. But how conditional formatting will come to know, especially when you have a long huge data? In that case, what you do, you simply use the countIf function. We did this before also. I say countIf in this range, because this has all the cells. Please count this particular cell, which is E2. So countIf will count the E2 in the range E2 to E9 and freeze the table, guys. Press enter. So you got 3, drag it. You got 1 1 1 3. Now in the cell in the F column, from F2 to F9, wherever you find a value greater than 1, that means that row is repeating, guys. So you go and select this entire table, go to the conditional formatting, click on the new rule, say that I want to use the formula, and formula would be what? Because you have already used the formula in the cell, so now you can also write like this, that if F2 is going to be greater than 1, then I want my colors, when the cell, whatever the color you want to give, should be highlighted. So I say that, let's say maybe this one. Fill effect, yeah, diagonal up, click OK. Make sure you remove the dollar from here, otherwise all the rows of this selected table will be formatted basis what you have got in F2. So you will get all the table highlighted, right? We know this. Keep this option, the dollar removed from 2. Make sure you must have dollar before F. Why? Because you're not using just one column. I don't want to highlight only name. If that is the case, I can even go and remove the dollar from the F. I have to highlight this also, right? So when these cells are, when the conditional formatting is going to pick up this cell, it will go and check what you have written here in the formula, and it will pick the F column. When the conditional formatting goes in this cell in the background, before you press apply and OK, it goes in the B, so automatically the reference will be changed to D if you don't put the dollar here, because conditional formatting will assume that you want to go actually and use the rules according to that thing, right? So I click on the OK, and there we go. Simple. If I go and change this 100 to 88, this is not going to come, because this is not repeating, right? Now again, I go and copy this entire thing. I go and put it here. Paste value, guys. Paste special. I go and use the formula here. This and this and this and this, right? I go and use this formula here because this is required for me. Let me just drag this little. Okay. Now see this, what I'm going to do. I'm going to select this entire table again. This time we are going to use the formula directly. Conditional formatting, new rule, use the formula. So what you want to write, guys, equals to countIf. I go and select this table. Dollar is required, so let's not change that. And then you're going to write here E13, and then go and remove the dollar from E13. This is how it is, right? But if this formula returns something, obviously this formula will return something, but are we actually, if I leave this formula just like that and I go and say that, okay, so let's go and give it a color. Okay, let's say at this time I say, yeah, so let's go and use the same color, this one. Okay, let's go to the fill effect. Actually, I should have gone directly to the fill effect, and this color, let's say I go and use, yeah. Now let me click here OK, let me click here OK, okay, and now you can see that my dollars are perfectly inserted before E and after before the row number. So table is totally freezed in the E13 also, because this is what I want to count, you know, and then E14, E15, E16. So I put the dollar in before E also, so that E should not be F and G when the conditional formatting start working from this column to this column, you know. So I go and guys press OK. Now what is wrong here? Why the entire range is getting colored? Go to the manage rules. Because your reference is okay, but you have to put here a condition. Your COUNTIF function is going to only return a value, but what value? It can return 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, depends how many times this entire bracket is repeating, or this one, you know. So you have to set that my COUNTIF should be equals to, not equals to, actually should be greater than 1. If COUNTIF returns greater than 1, that means it is repeating, obviously. So this greater than 1 should be required, right? So I click on the OK, and now I go and apply it, and hopefully the things will work for us, and there we go, right? So if I go and put here 100 again, you see that if I go and let's say put Aman here, Aman as 4, and I copy this ticket number, I paste it here, and I go and write here Aeon, you can see that this is all, you know, this is getting repeated, right? So that's how guys it is working. So what was the main thing? First, you should be able to think that what formula it has to be used, because conditional formatting, using conditional formatting is not tough, but the formula can be challenged if you don't know Excel so well. So that's how we can do, you know, these things. Okay, so here what we did, highlighted the duplicate values, right? And the previous exercise, what we did here, I should write here that error rows, or error if result shows an error, row should be invisible. That is why we did that thing, right? In the previous question, yeah, this is okay. This is something, this is for the duplicate. Highlight duplicate. Now I'm writing it here, but otherwise, even, you know, if I don't write it, let's say when you go and use this classwork file, guys, if I don't write this, what is happening here, what you will do, you will select the data and you go in the conditional formatting and click on the manage rule. If there is some conditional formatting applied there, you know, that you can see, and then just click on the edit rule so that you can see what the guy has done here, what I have done here, right? So you see here, all right, so it's actually related with the F2, then you go and do the research on the F2, right? So this is the another method, right? Now I have a question, one more question. So now you see that this is very interesting. So the question is that if this entire row is repeating 5 times, keeping the first entry as it is, the rest of the entries should be given a specific color. So if this item is repeating 10 times, the nine entries should be highlighted, but the first entry should not be highlighted, should not be colored, what I mean to say. So this is a new thing for you now, right? So how we gonna do this now, guys? You have to make sure that let's go and first of all I go and keep some, you know, create some duplicate copies here. Now you see we did this before also, but I don't remember if you, I don't know, I mean, if you remember this step, but we use the COUNTIF using the in the VLOOKUP also, when you guys used to ask me that what if you have a duplicate entries and you want to find out all the, you know, the values using the VLOOKUP. So I now quickly go and concatenate all these values. First of all, the same step I follow. right? Now once you have done that, and please hide this column later, don't show this to the user. This is only for your, this to make sure the conditional formatting goes well. You're using these helper columns. Now I say that countif. Now you if you're thinking why I'm still again using the countif, because if I go and use the countif, I'll again have the same kind of result, but this time guys I will not keep my e2 as freezed. I will go and write the, I will freeze only the endpoint, which is this e13. This is what I'm gonna do. Now what will happen, if you remember this will generate the 2 1 1 1 4 3 2 1 1 numbers, right? So let's pick up the Ajay. See this carefully. How many times Ajay? 100. And this, the entire data is repeating. Let me bold this. So this is the one, and I think this is the one, right? That's it. This is different. So we have different things now. So how it calculated it? Can you see that? This is my first entry. This is my second entry. So this is not giving me 2 2. If I go and write, let's say if I go and create Ajay again, let me copy this and let's say paste it here. Now you can see that it says 3 2 and 1. So my question, my conditional formatting formula will be again same. If the countif function returns greater than 1, then color it. So all the entries which are 1 1 showing, they will not be highlighted, right? Now if you want to change the order, you want this to be as 1, then we can use the countif in the different way. You say that count if this range and this to be counted, but what we will do is we will this time freeze this part, right? This would remain as e2 to e2 to e2, and we will not freeze this e2 part. I did this, I have explained this. This is in fact in your first assignment also, cell referencing. If you had done it completely, this the trick was there. Now I'm going to make sure e2 to e2 and e2, the last point, the end point of the e2, let's keep it open, so that when I go and drag the formula, my table should start expanding. So e2 to e3, e2 to e4, e2 to e5, e6. So what will happen, the number of the cells will start increasing, and obviously then your countif also will have a more area to search the same number. So in that way now the series will start from the in the increasing order. So now you can see here I've got my this entry as 1, and then this is a second, and this is as third, and you can see this for all. Like for example, look at the Aman. So in the Aman case, so this is Aman, this is all Aeon, this is repeating, right? We have the same employee ID, same ID, and this Aeon, and there is one more ID. I think this is the one. So how many times we have got Aman? We have got it 4 times. So you can see, if you look at this, this says 1 2 3 and 4, and let me go and drag this here also. So it's all up to you what you want to do, right? So I will go and target this, because I want to highlight the entries which are coming after the first entry. So that's why I use this thing, because if I go by this formula, then somewhere in the mid, this Ajay will be highlighted, and the rest of the will not be highlighted, but the above values will be highlighted. So that's something I don't want to do. I want to, when people start reading this data, they see that if this is getting highlighted, that means if they go above, they'll find that item somewhere, and that would be the first count. So let's go and use the conditional formatting now, right? You can use the same formula, in the conditional formatting, the formula which I have used. You can copy this formula also, just in case if you do not want to write the formula, you're not comfortable writing the formula, you can also copy this and directly go in the conditional formatting and use it, right? So I go and select this data, and I say new rule and use the formula. So I can develop my formula here also, but if you want this control V, you can do that, and just go and change the references. So reference I think is already correct, E2 to E2. Make sure E2 should have a $, E actually, because E should not be F. because conditional formatting will go and action all the cells on all the cells one by one. So we want to make sure E should not be F and G. And then this criteria, which is E2, that is okay. This is not going to change. We are not moving this. We are talking only about this selection range. So in this selection range, conditional formatting starts from A2, then B2, C2 and T2, and then A2 and B2. So basically when it goes to the A2, it picks up this formula, and then when it goes to the B2 in the background, when this will start working, it will go and check that your dollar sign. So since you have freeze the E2 remains the same for B2 cell, and this dollar $E2 will remain the same, and this E2 will also remain the same, right? Because I think E2 will also be F2. So let's go and put the dollar here like this, right? So that is how it is, guys. And I go and put the formatting now, and I say that let's say yellow color. Let's quickly go and run this code, and I guess my formatting is all good. So the important part here is I freeze all the E's, okay, because you're going left to right, so your E should not change. Okay, now we have got the value, but again I did the same mistake, guys. I forgot to put the condition count if result, that what the formula is okay, but what value it will return, and basis that value I want to color. So I say that if the value is greater than 1, then color the cell. So I click OK. You can see here that all the entries are unique. So these are all the first entries if they are coming repeating, right? You can see that this Akshay, this is different one, this is 5 and this is 384. But if you look at this Ajay, I got all the 2 Ajays highlighted and all the 3 Aman highlighted, right? And if you go and write this Aman also as 4, you see that the moment I copy and paste this transaction ID, this row should also get highlighted. Fantastic. And the moment you go and do some changes, let's say you go and make this as UHG. Can you see that? It's going. Make sense? So that's how, guys, you can use the condition formatting. It's very, very powerful, right? So here what we learned is that how to highlight duplicate entries or rows except for the first entry not to be highlighted. So it's all about the playing with the dollar signs. That is how it is, right? So now the another thing which you must know in the condition formatting, sometimes you have a different situations, guys. For example, I have here name and employee ID. You can have multiple headers, that's okay. I'm gonna tell you the use of the dollar here, though you already know it. Now let's say this is what they want you to do in the condition formatting. They say that all names should be highlighted or should be yellow if they come if they, let's say, if their first initial is A, right? Employee IDs if contains highlighted. So these are the 2 conditions I have written here. If you have more headers, you can write more conditions, okay? Now see this. You might be, you might like to do this in 2 steps. First, you go and select this data, go in the conditional formatting and say that if the left of this character is equals to, left means this function. Let me quickly write here, left of this 1, right? We will get the first initial, guys. My first condition is done. Then, and let me go and change, let's say this is Bhaskar, this is maybe right? Like this, I mean. And same way, you're gonna find out 5. So you see that 5. Let's go and find out the 5 in this and just go and drag this, right? So if the error is not going to come, that means you need to color that cell. Different approaches. But what I will do, I will say that if this is an error, then show this as 0. So error means that it does not contain 5. Simple, right? So I will have all the values as 0 wherever I don't have 5 coming, right? I not like to explain these formulas because by now you should be, I mean, comfortable with this. So, but I'm just telling you the conditional formatting trick. So now what I do, I'm going to make one conditional formatting and I will go and plan both the things in single step. So see this. The first option, how people do is, generally how people will approach this, they will select this range and they will go in the conditional formatting and they say new rule, and in the new rule they say use a formula, and they're going to write here, you know, this function that if the left of this value is going to be equals to A, you know, then color this cell and just remove this 5 part, and then they go and select the employee ID range, and then they go and write the same function which I have written here, that, you know, this one. I mean there are multiple ways of doing it, but why not to do this in single step? You select this entire table, because right now I'm just having 2 columns. I'm just telling you in case if you have 10 headers and they said that in all the 10 headers we have a different condition formatting. So instead of you go in the 10 times in all those ranges one by one and put the different formulas, you go and prepare this in the Excel separately like this, right? You know, this is for this and this is for this. Don't interchange them. Go and select this entire data and see that new rule. What is new rule? So I say that format the values where this formula is true. So if I go and say that if this is equals to A, right? If this equals to A, then just go and format the cell. So say that remove the dollar from this. So I say format and then go and give the yellow color, right? Now the problem is this, which I thought that it can be done, you know, with the by keeping this, you know, G. I mean, if I just go and remove this G, the dollar from the G, the next time when the conditional formatting goes for this cell, you know, it's gonna pick up this, but in the in this cell, you know, we have a different value. So I think you got to put all these, both the conditions in same form, so that we can have the same logic bit. I mean, I can say that if the 0 comes, highlight this color. If the 0 comes here, then highlight this cell, you know, that's what I'm trying to say. Now you're saying that if error is going to return 0, right, so that means that value should not be highlighted. This should be highlighted. So in the same way, guys, see this what I'm doing. I say that if the left of this is going to be equals to A, right, then do what? Then give it a color 1, otherwise 0. In that way, I can use now my conditional formatting. I have converted them into 1 and 0, and I have converted them into 1 and 0. So basically 1 means I want color, 0 means no color, because the condition 0, this 0 number would come for those who are not actually qualifying on these 2 conditions. So go and select the entire data, go in the conditional formatting. I say that new rule, pick up this, simply say that if this value is going to be equals to 1, then I want to give it a color. So you go and give it a color, let's say this one. Please guys, remove the 5, the dollar from the 5, and remove the dollar from G. Go and click OK. Now can you see that this is what I was talking? This is also colored. If you go and write here 856, This is not colored, so I thought this should be colored. Why 856 is not colored? You see here 2. So let's go and check the formula again. Go to the conditional formatting. If the G5 is equals to 1, so that means if the H5 is going to be 1. Okay, sorry about that. Basically, when you write G5 as equals to 1, this is coming as 2, because this is the position. This is the position of 5, but I wanted to convert them into 0 and 1. So what I do is, I don't use the if error here. I use the if is error. I'm saying that if the error comes, keep it 0, and if the error doesn't come, that means you found the 5, keep it 1, right? Otherwise, this way you will have a position here, and that's not gonna make sense to me. Okay, so what I do is, or let's keep this option as it is. Let's change the formula. Let's say that anything which is not equals to 0 should be colored, isn't it, guys? I think that is also a good option. So I say that if the G5 is not equals to 0, just color it, because you know the 0 will come when the condition is not going to be qualified. We have this 856 coming. So if I go and write here 555, this is going to be colored. And if I go and write this as RIA, converted my all the formulas into 1 and 0, because individually if I go and check, they give me the different results. For example, if I use the left returns A or R or N, and then I converted that AR into 1 and 0. I said that 1 is for those where we are having initial A. Same way you said that wherever you have the 5, just put that cell as 1. Okay, so how you do, so wherever you don't have a 5, just put that 0, and wherever you have 5, obviously find function is going to return you the position. So you have here it should not be equals to 0. That's it. So wherever you don't have a 0, that should be colored. So this is also the another method of the conditional formatting. Make sense? Any questions you have? Okay.
Yes, in this no, but sir, I have a question. Uh, Hello.
Yeah, Abhishek.
Yeah. So, sir, for example, I'm preparing a mark sheet, and I see that if the person is achieving more than 70%, it should be excellent. For example, the moment I write excellent, it should come as green. Is it possible, sir?
The moment you write excellent, the cell should change its
Oh,
color.
yes.
Yeah, so you go and select this cell, let's say. So let's say this is your sheet and this is where you want to target that anywhere. If in these
Mm,
cells I write excellent, it should have a color. So in the advanced, you
mm,
can write this. You write the new rule and you say that if the cell is equals to excellent,
mm.
then it should be colored as, let's say, this one. Click OK. Now when the user will go here and start writing something, let's say I write good, fail, excellent, this is how it will happen. If I go and write
Mm,
anywhere outside the excellent, then it won't, because you applied the conditional formatting on this range. So if you have to go and write the conditional formatting in a bigger data, you go and select that data. But remember, make sure when
mm,
you use the conditional formatting, I mean, if you want to apply it in the entire sheet, don't just go and select this entire sheet and do that, because that's going to make your file very heavy, right? Nobody
mm.
uses 10 lakh rows, so please select the relevant data. Conditional formatting will impact your file size also. After all, it is adding a color, and that's going to make your file heavy. I'm not talking about 5,000, 10,000 or 15,000 rows, that's okay. I'm talking about that you just go and select the 2 lakh rows, 3 lakh rows, and apply the condition formatting there. So 2 lakh rows, it also depends how many columns you are selecting. So make sure when you use the conditional formatting in such a big data, you keep a check on your file size also. It should not be that heavy that it's going to take ages to open up, right? So this thing you need to keep in mind. So that's why I'm saying only the relevant data should be selected, right? Don't just use the extra columns or extra rows.
Okay.